Who's out there?
At the beginning of the story, we see a little girl named Elena, who is returning home with her father after attending her mother's funeral. On the way, her father lovingly says, "I love you so much, I'll never leave you alone, I'll always be with you." But suddenly, a terrible accident occurs, and the scene cuts to black. In the next scene, the entire city is buzzing with fear. A notorious serial killer has already claimed several lives. Time skips forward, and we now see Elena as an adult. One night, while her father is asleep, she sneaks out of the house and heads to a party. When she gets there, she catches her boyfriend with another girl. Heartbroken and furious, Elena punches him straight in the face. Unbeknownst to her, the serial killer is also at the party, silently watching everything. He's already set up traps all around the place to make sure no one leaves alive. Shattered and enraged, Elena locks herself in a room and cries bitterly. Suddenly, she notices a box nearby that seems to be moving. Curious, she opens it and finds a man inside. It's Arkin, the same man we saw in the first part of the story. Arkin, bruised and terrified, begs her for help and warns, "If you don't help me, the killer will slaughter everyone here." But the moment Elena opens the box, a trap mechanism is triggered, and several people are killed instantly. Amid the chaos, Arkin manages to free himself and escape. Elena soon discovers her close friend trapped inside a cage, with the killer about to crush her beneath an iron grate. She desperately tries to save her, but fails. The killer brutally murders everyone nearby. During this, the killer notices Elena and strangely becomes fascinated by her. He starts to like her. Elena tries to run and calls for Arkin's help, but before Arkin can reach her, the killer grabs Elena. Arkin escapes by smashing through a window. The killer locks Elena inside a large box and takes her away. Meanwhile, Arkin is rushed to the hospital for treatment. While recovering, his wife comes to visit him. On the table, he sees a bouquet of flowers and thanks her, assuming she brought them. But she says she didn't. Then she notices a small note attached to the bouquet. It reads, "For collection." Arkin instantly realizes the flowers were sent by the killer. Fearing for his family's safety, he urges his wife to take their daughter and stay at her mother's place so the killer can't find them. That same night, Elena's guardian visits Arkin's hospital room. He pleads for Arkin's help to find Elena, knowing only Arkin can track the killer. Arkin explains the killer's twisted rule. He always leaves one person alive and kills everyone else. The one he likes, he spares. Convinced Elena is still alive, Arkin insists, "We need to find her before it's too late." We then cut to Elena, who wakes up trapped inside a box. Peeking through a crack, she sees a man chained to the wall. Suddenly, the killer enters the room and cuts the man's tongue out. Meanwhile, Lucello forms a special rescue team with Arkin guiding them. To navigate the killer's hideout, Arkin has drawn a map directly on his body. The lair turns out to be an old abandoned hospital, rotting and falling apart. Inside, Elena manages to open a locked box, only to find another box inside. When she opens it, there's a rotting corpse stuffed inside. Suddenly, she hears footsteps approaching and quickly hides. The killer realizes Elena has escaped, but he isn't worried. The entire place is rigged with deadly traps. To make things worse, he releases poisonous spiders that crawl toward her rapidly. Meanwhile, Arkin and Lucello's team arrive at the hospital. As Arkin sneaks inside, an alarm goes off, alerting the killer. He immediately activates all his traps. Elena makes her way into a dark underground tunnel, while Lucello's team ventures deeper into the building. Suddenly, the killer ambushes them, brutally killing one team member. Elena enters a decaying room and finds another mysterious box. She opens it, revealing a terrified young girl inside. Shaking, the girl asks, "How did you escape?" Elena whispers back, "I distracted the killer," but deep down, Elena suspects this girl might be working with the killer. Meanwhile, another team member falls into a spiked trap, dying instantly. Realizing staying with the group means certain death, Arkin breaks off on his own. Exploring deeper, Arkin discovers a room filled with insect photos and gruesome experiments. Suddenly, the killer attacks him, but Arkin narrowly escapes. Elsewhere, Elena and the young girl search for a way out. The girl whispers, trembling, "The killer, he likes me. He experiments on me. I can't leave." Elena tries to convince her, but the girl slaps her in frustration. Right then, the killer appears, forcing Elena to run for her life. She hides in a cramped corner, holding her breath as the killer searches nearby. Meanwhile, Arkin stumbles upon a hidden chamber where the killer stores his victims' corpses. Suddenly, he falls into a pit filled with rotting bodies, some still alive, chained and insane. The half-dead victims attack him viciously, but Arkin manages to fight them off and climb out. He enters another room where the killer keeps insects and humans trapped together, using them for grotesque experiments. There, Arkin finds a girl nailed to the wall, crying in agony. She begs for help, but before he can react, the killer arrives and slashes her throat mercilessly. Eventually, Elena finds a small chamber with a tiny hole leading outside. She screams for help, but no one hears her. Lucello's team soon captures Arkin and orders him to stay with them. Suddenly, the killer attacks from the shadows, strangling a team member with a trap before dragging away a female operative. Lucello and Arkin later find the same young girl from before, who begs for help. They take her along. Moments later, they hear the kidnapped woman screaming and rush toward the sound, but realize it's a trap. A hidden speaker was playing her screams. As they retreat, an explosion goes off, but Lucello barely survives. Finally, they reunite with Elena, who has managed to save the kidnapped woman. Elena warns Lucello that the young girl they've been protecting is actually the killer's accomplice, but no one believes her. Relieved to find Elena alive, Lucello promises to get her out safely. Elena then shows them a spot where they can see two people outside. Suddenly, Arkin shoots one in the leg. The gunfire draws police attention, but Arkin fires at them too. Arkin explains his plan. Now the cops will come after the killer and save us. This enrages the young girl, who locks everyone inside a room, screaming, "You'll never escape now." Ironically, she steps on a hidden trap, triggering a massive spike mechanism that kills her instantly. When the killer sees his accomplice dead, he loses control. Furious, he unleashes two vicious attack dogs and opens fire. In the chaos, Lucello is gravely injured. Arkin kills both dogs, but the killer manages to capture Elena again. Lucello, bleeding and trapped, orders Arkin and the rescued woman to go save Elena. But as they attempt to rescue her, the killer locks them inside a steel cage. Enraged, Arkin vows to kill the killer, but instead, the killer sets the cage on fire. Using his skills, Arkin unlocks the cage from inside, and they try to escape. But the killer returns and murders the rescued woman brutally. The killer attacks Arkin and Elena savagely, but just then, Lucello, barely alive, charges at the killer. A brutal fight erupts, but the killer ultimately stabs Lucello to death. Seeing this, Arkin snaps. In a fit of blinding rage, he beats the killer senseless and hurls him onto a pile of corpses. Suddenly, the bodies catch fire, and the entire hospital goes up in flames. Trapped, Elena smashes several water-filled boxes, flooding the area and extinguishing the fire. Finally, Arkin and Elena escape the burning hospital. Outside, the police rescue them. Elena reunites with her father, and they embrace, but he's devastated to learn about Lucello's death. Just then, Arkin notices something chilling. The killer's body is missing, only his mask remains. The nightmare isn't over. In the final scene, the killer hides at his new lair. Suddenly he hears a sound outside and goes to investigate, but finds nothing. Then from behind, Arkin appears, pointing a gun at his head. Arkin says coldly, "There are 14 people in this area who specialize in insect research, and you're one of them. That's how I found you." The killer asks, "Are you going to shoot me?" Arkin replies, "No, I won't give you an easy death. But yes, I'm going to make you feel every ounce of pain you inflicted on others." With that, Arkin locks the killer inside a box and takes him away, ready to make him suffer real torment. And with that, the film ends.